Tired of complex and antiquated access control systems? Want to easily adopt mobile credentials? Welcome to Hanwha Vision's on-cloud access for everyone, or OnCAFE. OnCAFE is a simple yet flexible cloud-based access control solution that is highly scalable, allowing you to add controllers as needed without the constraints of on-prem servers. I'm going to give you an introduction and overview of Hanwha Vision's OnCAFE access control as a service solution. So OnCAFE is Hanwha Vision's cloud-based comprehensive visitor management and security platform. It encompasses a variety of hardware and offers visitor management, alarms, building management, and monitoring functions. It has a lot of great next-generation technologies that we'll talk about, including the access control hardware, mobile credentials, mobile app, and supports open reader standards. An important thing to know is our connectivity architecture. We have our on-prem hardware. We have our controllers that you see on the left-hand side, and they connect to readers and all the wiring in the walls to your doors. Each controller is directly connected to the cloud. It has a cloud connector built in. We don't need any additional appliance or gateways to connect to the cloud, reducing cost and complexity. All the data is sent to the cloud, our OnCAFE system, and then you can use your browser or your mobile app to configure everything. Everything is cached locally, so if you lose internet, everything continues operating on-prem. You can still use your browser, configure the system. When internet connectivity resumes, any changes that you make will flow back to the controller, and any card reads or errors or issues, events will all flow back to the cloud for reporting and monitoring. Licensing is really easy. We have three types of licenses. We have entry licenses. They are per door or elevator, and they're per year. Very simple. It doesn't matter if that entry has 1 or 2 readers, if it's an elevator with 100 floors. The mobile credentials are sold in 20 packs, and you choose BLE, Bluetooth, or wallet credentials. You'll see the Bluetooth credentials are a much lower cost. All three of these license types are per year. We also have some higher packs where we've bundled them into larger quantities to give you more cost savings and to make ordering easier. The mobile credentials are revocable and transferable, so it means you don't burn it by using it and issuing it to someone if they're a temporary user or things like that. You can freely use them within the pack that you have per year. We have 4 types of readers you can see here. We have 2 with pin pads and 2 without. We have 2 mullion readers and 2 standard single gang form factor. And then we have 2 credentials on the right-hand side. If we zoom in, you can see that these readers will work with existing OSDP or weakened systems. You can use existing credentials if you have them, or you can replace and put in new hardware. These are Leaf wavelengths powered readers. They will auto detect if you're using weakened or OSDP. They support the newer 13.56 megahertz NFC. They do support the older 125 kilohertz prox credentials. We recommend not using them. They're not as secure. And then we have the Bluetooth credentials, as I mentioned. We sell our own credentials. These credentials come in a 100 pack of cards or fobs. All credentials are uniquely numbered. So as a dealer, you can order multiple boxes, have them on the shelf ready for your customers, and you can pull from them knowing you don't have to worry about overlap or duplicate numbers. They will be guaranteed unique. If you give your customer 100 pack at a time, even easier from there. And these have the latest security technologies for these credentials. The cards are printable. Great. So how do you know what to pick? So this is just showing a typical look at a standard access control system. We have a controller of any type that connects to a door sensor, the door lock hardware, the request to exit, and a reader, right? So typically you're going to have all of those pieces connected to a controller for each and every door or elevator. Now, how do you choose which controller? These are two different types of controllers. Both of these connect to our cloud OnCAFE. They can all do about the same things. Main difference is if you're doing elevator control, that requires the bare board controller on the right. So we have two types of controllers. We have standalone controllers here, the NHP P100 and 200, one door and two door controllers. These would get installed above a door on its own. And we have bare board controllers. We'll start with the standalone controllers, and you'll see here all the parts and pieces of it. On the left hand side we have our door control. This will open and close our door. It can be 12 volt, 24 volt, or a dry output. We have our reader if it supports Wiegand and OSDP. We recommend OSDP. It's more secure. And that also supports two readers, one on the in and out of a door. And when you use it in OSDP mode, we can switch the two unused, the LED and buzzer can be switched to flexible inputs for additional inputs into the unit. And below that, we have our supervised request to exit input, and that also has our power. So we don't need to connect to an additional power supply. All my wiring is simple and easy. And below that we have our door position switch. These are supervised inputs as well. Along the middle we have our aux input. That can be coming from some other device. We have our fire alarm input in red. Now this is really important. That gives us an approximate $200, if not more, savings per door, because I don't need additional relays and devices to cut power to my doors based on a fire alarm input from a fire panel. This unit can do it all on its own, and it is UL certified for that function. Next to that we have our DC power input if you're using that, or redundant power, and to the right of that, you can't really see it, is our PoE plus or HPoE input that can power up this whole unit from there. On the top we have our optical tamper cover, and on the bottom we have our conduit access. We also have a standalone mode that works for the standalone controllers. If you're not accessing it through the internet right now, so for example, if I'm getting a building commissioned and I don't have internet access up yet, there is a standalone mode to operate that one controller by itself, and that is license free. And then we have bare board controllers. These are your more traditional looking boards that would go into an enclosure mounted on a wall. This is where you're typically doing large quantities of readers or doors in one area, or you're home running everything to one place, maybe in a small area. On the left we have our intelligent controller. In the middle we have our expansion panel for every two additional doors, or readers I should say, and on the right is an IO expansion board if you need more expansion than the main unit. If we take a zoom in here, you'll see our different boards. The IC2 has 2 reader ports, 8 supervised inputs, and 4 outputs. So it's enough to power up a 2-door system. And it can then expand. It has additional serial ports to keep adding multiple downstream RI2MS. That will be for every 2 additional readers that you add, or additional NOP IO168S. We also do have pre-wired enclosures from Ultronics, 4-door and 8-door. These do not include those blue boards. It has the other boards, the Ultronics power boards, for distributing power and things like that. We have a calculator on our website to help you size these and determine all the boards and pieces that you might need. Additional information here if you needed to know all the functions and of all the different ports on these different boards. We're going to skip ahead, but you can pause that to see more information. It's important to think about cost. Do I have to run lots of wiring down lots of hallways? Am I expanding down the road? What accessories do I need? Not every system includes all the parts and pieces. And interoperability. Am I reusing existing readers, credentials? Do I need to interoperate with third-party systems? So you always want to think about all those parts and pieces there. So if I have a small system, I have an office with 1 or 2 doors, maybe 3 or 4 doors, 2 in the front, 2 in the back, I can use the standalone NHP P100 or 200. Typically, these get installed above the ceiling, above the drop ceiling. You run your cabling only a few feet from above the ceiling through the walls to the door, and it's very easy and very low cost. And there you go. You don't need space in the IDF. You don't need enclosures. You don't need other power supply accessories. Everything's right from here. I might have a distributed system where I'm making this a little bit bigger, right? 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 doors, whatever. But maybe it's a very large facility like a grocery store where I don't want to run cabling all the way across the grocery store back to a central server room. That gets expensive with that cabling. It's also more difficult to troubleshoot or adding things down the road. So here, I'm going to put the 1 or 2 door controller above the door for the front door, the side door, the loading dock doors, things like that. Very simple. Each one is on the network. Each one connects to their doors. Each one connects to OnCAFE, to the system, and they get configured as one large system. Very easy. But then I might have customers who want larger systems. They might need lots of input outputs. Maybe they have remote devices to open and close doors remotely. Maybe they have using elevators, right? Maybe you have a building with a 10-floor elevator, things like that. Maybe you have a gate that you want to open remotely. And that's where the bare board controllers come into play. So I might have a school hallway, and this hallway might have 8 classrooms. So I could put this 8-door kit in a server closet, a telecom closet, an IDF. Put the boards in there and wire this up. So now each classroom has a access control door to it. I then might have a larger school with multiple wings. Each wing would have one of these. If I had a wing that had 16 doors, I'd put 2 of these 8-door enclosures in there with the relevant boards. And then from there, once I program them, get them on the network, I have a dashboard. They get brought into our cloud, and then you create your organization of different sites and different areas and groupings from there of what makes sense to you. All of this is done in literally minutes. It's very easy to configure. And then we can add, as you can see here, we can add cameras from our Wave VMS and our OnCloud VMS to be able to have cameras associated with my doors so I can see what's happening live. I can see events and snapshots. I can remotely lock and unlock doors, initiate lockdowns and things like that. I can also then run reports, as you can see here, see who came and went, where there are high numbers of invalid card reads, anything like that. There's a variety of reports that we can run and export from there. Identities are how users get access to the system. Very easy to add identities one by one, or we can import them if I have a large database to add, possibly from an older system. But we add users in, we then give them permissions of what they're allowed to access. So here you can see we're creating an identity. We can upload a picture if we want. We give them a user role and what location they're in. And then we assign them cardholder groups and access levels. That tells the system what they're allowed to access. And then we can create credentials that are either a physical credential, a card, or a fob. We can do mobile credentials or a PIN code. And everything can have start and end dates. If I want them to be temporary credentials or things like that, we can do that. And you can see here, very easy to walk through and do that. It's also important to know that we don't have any base monthly fees or yearly fees besides the licensing we talked about. No per system fee from there or anything else. So it's very simple, easy, frictionless to add users, add credentials, and move to mobile credentialing. And for more information, visit our website at hanwhavisionamerica.com/OnCAFE.